Hello learners, welcome to Operation Management Chapter 7. Today we're going to talk about supply chain planning and control. Supply chain management is the management of the interconnection of the organization. Actually, the supply management we are talking from start since the supply, how to supply until the end to the consumers. So the whole process of deliver the supply the materials to production and until the customers. The whole chain is called supply chain management, and also it also includes the upstream and downstream linkage between the whole process too. So the supply chain management has a bird eye view of the whole process. Supply chain management, if you see this model from the flow from each process to from here, we always see, if we compare to the process flow, here the materials, right, from the supplier, and the secondly is the process flow, and then the last one is delivery to the consumers. You can see first things between in each process, there is a flow between each process, inside of each process, and also the process flow and output, and also the upstream flow, like such as requirement from the consumers, and also the downstream flow from the product quotation. We also include PO, purchase order, and also the how to deliver the raw materials to consumers to each process. Also here, the supply chain planning and control. You can see from start in the early age of the production. First, we thought we were talking about the purchasing and supply chain, supply management, and also the physical distribution management. They were separated. Later on, we talk about logistic, which sometimes at that time we focused from production to consumers, and then later on we had another system we call material management, or MRW, right? And then there was a system separated that called about information flow and physical flow. But nowadays, when we talk about the supply chain, we talk about the whole process, the supply chain management. So we focus from the second tier supplier, or even a third tier supplier, that we might, if we have to go down there, and then up to the first tier, and then up to us, or the production, and then the first tier customer, second tier customer, and also the end consumers or the end customer. Why? Because why do we have to focus on until the end customers? In some cases, first case, we have to focus about we also have to focus about the consumers' requirement or consumer needs, and then we can get the feedback to develop, or we can call research and development, or even in some cases consumers not directly interact with us, but they interact with the second tier customers and also to the first tier customer and back to us. The purchasing function bring together the operation and its supplier. Since you are the supply chain manager or in supply chain management, you might have to look down to the suppliers. Why? Because you have to know when will they deliver the supply, the raw materials to your factory or to your organization. And then you also have to involve with the purchasing functions like the purchase department, like, and then up to the operation. So if you see this model, the model starts from the demand from customers, and then the customer ask ask yourself or your organization, and then your organization do the request for the product and service to that you can do directly to the purchasing function, or you do through through the liaison for purchasing department, right? And then they can organize something for you. They can organize for you, and also later on, after the request for quotations, right? Then they go down to the suppliers and ask for the quotation from the supplier, and of course the supplier asks the purchase order, right, or PO uh, from the purchasing function and deliver the product or the raw material upon the PO or purchase order, right? Or even then they can supply to the selected suppliers. Also here in for the then or in some cases they can prepare, right, and then direct to produce the product and service and deliver directly to the to receive to yourself for the operation function to receive the product directly or back to the liaison, and liaison deliver to you, and then you supply to the customer. This is the cycle of what the organization does. For factor for rating alternative suppliers, of course, when you run the operation, there are not normally there are many suppliers in the market, or if that is not the special materials, but for normal materials you might have many suppliers to choose. Then how can we choose the supplier, the correct or best, or we can call most suitable supplier for us? Of course, there are many factors to consider, like for short-term ability or long-term ability to supply. Such as for short-term ability to supply, you might have to consider about the range of the product or services provided, or quality of the product or services, of course, and responsiveness, how fast, right, they respond to your request, upon your request, or dependability of supply, the what condition or what factor that they have to concern when they have to deliver the product or the raw materials to you, or delivery and volume flexibility. Of course, if you have to order a large volume, that might have to bother you for your stocks, for your space, of course, and also your financials. Then our total cost of being supplied, there might be some additional costs like delivers charge, staff charge, or whatever, or even storage charge. Okay, total cost of being supplied, right? Then that is all total cost that you have to pay uh, to to get an order. Ability to supply in the required quantity, that means in some time you might have to order in some small or very large quantity to supply to yourself, to your organization. Another way for the long-term ability, you might have to concern on the potential for innovation because you contact them for a long time. So of course, your consumer, your customer might have some requests that they might need some special things from you, right? Or ease of doing business, how easy that you can deal the business with them, willingness to share risk, of course, they if they will respond of risk sharing, that of course that's a really great for you because you don't have to bear 100% cost or the risk, right? Long-term commitment to supply that also come with deliver quantity and also in some cases cost or price of the raw materials. Ability to transfer knowledge, right? If they have some innovation department and they can share some innovation product or some new product or some knowledge for you to deliver for you to develop the product or the new product that will be your opportunity to lower down the cost for innovate for research and development, and of course moreover you can uh, create some differentiation for your product from your competitors. Technical capability, of course, if you have some problems or question, they can help you on some technical or even maybe better on operations and financial and managerial capability. That is also we call support. Then here is a model. It's just an example for you to choose the better or suitable suppliers. Like in this model, the factors are divided to cost performance, quality record, deliver speed, delivers promise and delivery speed achieved, dependability record, range provided, innovation capability. These factors might is not are not only the factor that you have to concern. You might have some other factors that you concern more, or even some of these factors you can deduct if you think that it doesn't much concern for you, so you can adjust. But as I said, this is just an example for you to consider, and then you can weight them like from suppose 100 point, you can weight how much you can give them to weight. Like for cost performance 10, quality or record 10, or depends, or in this case you can weight by range from 1 to 10, or even you can weight by percentage. It depends on how are you going to organize, right? And then you just find out that how many score that the supplier between a supplier A, B, C, or D. Depends on how many suppliers you have, and then you can weight them, you can score them first, and then you can do the calculation with the weight average, right? And then you can find out that at the end, supplier B, you can see for the cost performance that some traditional purchase department much concern on cost, that they do the cost less than on the weight. They can do the cost less than supplier A, but at the end they can get the total weighted score like for 356, which is more than supplier that they can get, or they could get only 325. We can see at the end you might better choose supplier B for your supplier, or if you have large quantity of the product you order, you can share the supplier to, you can split to 2 or 3 suppliers. It depends on how large and how risk for your organization. Here, also here the example for weighted supplier selection criteria for ABC Electronics. You can see from this is the weight as a percentage 30, 40, and 30. There are 2 suppliers, and then they can wait from they scored they were scored 435 for Crema and Sun-Dry 543. Then in this case, you at the end you can do the calculation and you can find out the suitable suppliers. Okay. For purchasing internet and e-procurement, one thing in Thailand right now, we in Thailand is very famous and is very familiar with e-procurement, because right now we try to do especially for a large organization, they try to reduce the corruption from the purchasing department, and also they want to try to be clear for the process for their supplier. So most of the platform, most of the organization is very familiar and also very famous using the e-procurement for the suppliers and also the purchasing department to decide, like uh, because like the advantages like efficiency improvement, commercial relationship between, with the suppliers, and also it's open up the market to increase the competition, as it at the end the organization itself got the advantage from this platform. Global sourcing opportunity like purchase price, transportation costs, inventory carrying costs, supply performance, supply and operational risk, cross-border taxes. This is very important when you do the global supply chain management, because these are all the factors for you to concern when you organize the supply chain. Okay, here the relationship, there are many types that we call like B2B, B2C, C2B, or even C2B, or peer-to-peer. Okay, so in this case there are 2 axes. First things we talking about the business and consumers, and the next 2 business and consumers, and then second axis is from business and consumers. The first box, to business and from the business, we call B2B or business to business, while from business to consumers we call B2C, or we can business sell the product or contact, okay, to a consumer directly, we call B2C. The next one, C2B, when we do the from consumers to uh, sorry okay, to the business, right? So in this case we can do some it called the consumers can sell the product to the business or to the company or the organization. In this case, like the case from the farmers, They sell the rice, the fruit, the fresh fruit, or even the rice directly to the business or to the organization. And also, next one is consumer to consumers. We call peer to peer, or this or P2P. This is most of the time in this option, we use some platforms to contact between the product the organizations and the consumers. Okay, this is these two access or this model apply to access that concern about the operation activities and how the quantity of the suppliers. You can see in the operation activity, there are three levels: do everything important, and do nothing. While the quantity of the supplier axis, there are three types, like many suppliers, interfirm contact, or few suppliers. You can see for the traditional supply management, they use between the do everything and do everything important between. So they're likely doing everything, right? Quite everything. I would use this word with the in like a middle or the medium quantity of the suppliers. So in this case, it's a vertically integrated operation and also the partnership supply management. In this, there are many type of dealing the supply, but nowadays they quite move, right, to quite less uh, quantity of supplier, but not very few, but maybe less than from earlier or traditional supply management, and try to do less things and try to push the things to that they have to do to suppliers to do instead of the organization to. So right now they likely move to partnership supply management. Okay, all right. So that's it for chapter 7. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to bring to the class, and we can discuss in class. See you in class.